Welcome back to Backyard Ballistics. Today we're starting a new series which is gonna be called Guns from the Collection. I wanted to start with something a little strange, so I picked up this odd smoothbore handgun made in Italy in the early 70s by the Serena brothers. I will also prepare and test some loads that resemble the famous Dragon's Breath cartridges. So let's get started. I'm removing the breech block so to easily show the features of the gun. As I mentioned, it is a smoothbore single-shot handgun. The one I'm showing here is in 28 gauge. In this model, the breech is closed by this block, which is held in place with a single locking lug. On the block extension, we can also see a simple extractor. You can clearly see that the bore is smooth and chrome-plated, and there is also a very tight choke near the muzzle. On a historical note, this wasn't the only version made by the Serena brothers, nor the only caliber offered. The one I'm holding here is the earliest version with a very singular locking system that was later abandoned. Since the breech block was not moving back and forth, they used an automatic ejector, which is kinda cool. The calibers offered were 28, 32, 36 gauge and 9mm rimfire. Back to the 28 gauge, I want to show you how tight the choke really is. It measured 12.2mm on the caliper, and even if the true diameter is probably a little bit bigger, it still means that it is the tightest choke I have ever seen, considering that the typical bore diameter for this caliber is about 14mm. Now let's load some cartridges for it and have some fun. As I expected, the chamber is shorter than the 2 3/4 inches common nowadays, so I had to trim my holes accordingly. I loaded the typical 18 grams of shot, and since I'm not going to hunt birds with it, I used some relatively big number 1 shot and closed everything with a traditional overshot disc and a live road crimp. Which I applied in the laziest possible way, I know. And here for the fun part, the target is placed at 8 meters. To be quite honest, the recoil of this contraption is one of the most uncomfortable I've ever felt, not because it is painful, but because it really feels like the gun might escape from your hands. That was great fun. Now let's go back and reload some proper buckshot. I chose the biggest pellet size that could pass without much effort through the tight choke, which came to be about 5.6mm, and loaded them in a triangular stack configuration. I was pleased by the pattern I got at 9 yards, which is about as large as the one I had obtained with Buckshot. On the other hand, it is shooting quite high, since I was aiming at the base of the circle and hit the center. To prevent shooting too high at 25 meters, I aimed at the bottom of the target, and the pattern was still somewhat higher. I have one last, really amazing thing to show you. Let's go back to the reloading bench. If you add a small compressed wad of fine steel wool between the powder and the wad, and then load the cartridge as usual, you will get a huge and bright muzzle blast full of sparks. The amount I use is pretty much what you can fit in the skirt of the wad. And unfortunately my shaky hands are worsening due to a neurological condition. Anyway, let's try this cartridge. I'm going to call it Iron Breath, since Dragon's Breath is already taken. Anyway, that's all I had to show. If you liked the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. It would really help us share our passion and experience with you. See you next time. Bye.